What's happening, everybody? Listen, we are coming on live, cutting up already. Cherie Brooks Jr. is just getting on my nerves this morning with your red lipstick. What's the problem?
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning,
guys.
Everybody. Welcome to Breakfast with the Brookses. So do we spell it with a S and a ES, or should we do it with a hyphen on the end? We've been doing the hyphen.
I'm not an English major.
No, so if it's grammatically incorrect, forget you. We failed English, so it don't even matter.
Fail.
I did twice. But at any rate.
Anyway, good morning, guys.
What's happening, everybody?
Welcome to Breakfast with the Brooks.
For those of you all who don't know, perhaps you're tuning in for the first time trying to figure out who are these crazy people. My name is Glenn P. Brooks Jr. I am an author. I'm a speaker. I'm a coach. And sitting next here to me is the lovely light skin with the red lipstick on.
Cherie Brooks Jr., author, speaker, relationship, and life balance coach. And it's a pleasure to be with you guys this morning.
Guys, listen, I am super excited today, Cherie. We are really, really privileged to have some friends of ours on the show today. And
special guest.
Special guest. I got to turn my device down. It just kind of just blasted me. So at any rate, so we're excited today, guys. Before we go to our special guest, for those of you all who don't know, Cherie and I created an online relationship academy for those people. Good morning, Karen. It's good to see you. Do me a favor, share this stuff out. For those of you all who are just joining in, perhaps we're talking to our replay viewers. We created an online relationship academy for the express purpose of helping people who want to grow their marriage and parenting skill set. Mm-hmm. See, one of the things that we learned a long time ago, we've been married 19 years in a row, right? And you were married twice before me. I was married once. Mm-hmm. That it wasn't the fact that we didn't love that caused that not to happen or go well.
Right.
It was because we didn't know how to love.
Right. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know how to do marriage. And unfortunately, for most people, you don't grow up with a manual,
right,
or even clear examples or functional examples of what marriage
That's
and parenting
are. Functional
and so you kind of flounder your way through it, trying to figure it out.
Yep.
And we realized that from our former relationships that we made a whole lot of mistakes.
Yep.
And we've been able to learn from those and from the mistakes of others, and have been able to apply that to our marriage this time, and we've been winning. Yeah. And
consistently.
Yes. And we both had a heart to want to be able to help other people not go through the many pitfalls that we went through and have successful relationships.
Absolutely. So guys, if you are interested in growing, we have 4 different group coaching environments, I should say. Tuesday nights is the couples and parents. They meet separately. Couples meet at 7. Parents meet at 8:30, and then on every other Thursday, first and third Thursday of the month,
it's Maps Ladies, when we get together and we get to talk real.
Right.
You get to talk without
us in the room. Right.
You get to talk about real issues.
They be talking about us bad, y'all. Sometimes I have to run out the house because I can overhear through the walls. I'm like, I didn't need to know that. That was none of my business. Right. And so we also meet with men. We have a men's group that meets on Sunday evenings at 7, specifically designed to help grow brothers in the area of learning, leading, and loving their families. And I think that that's hugely important, particularly with men. We just, again, have not had those examples. And so if you're looking for community, if you're looking for a group that will nurture you, that will help grow with you, that will help you stay accountable to the goals that you're trying to accomplish in your relationships, MAPS Community is the place to be.
What does MAPS stand for?
Marriages and Parenting Successfully, because hashtag we all need some help. I got my finger on the wrong side. So Sidney, thanks for jumping in the room. Do me a favor, guys, share this out. We're also super excited, guys, that we have now launched and are showing some major love to our YouTube channel. So to catch the replay, do us a favor and go to YouTube, subscribe to youtube.com, the CR Coach, for the replay. Cherie, you can stop that now. That is so annoying. What are you doing? Stop that.
That's what the people do.
That is what the people, but they don't do it like consistently. Have y'all seen our new armbands?
Yes,
I just got sidetracked. ADD this morning. It's the bulletproof.
But go to the
YouTube bulletproof
channel.
Coffee. God bless America and nobody else, as Chris Rock would say. But at any rate, so now we're going to go ahead and get off and stop being so talking chattery, because we're some
chatty Cathy's.
Chatty Cathy's. I'm not Kathy. Call me
Chatty Carl.
That don't rhyme. That don't rhyme. We got to chat. I'll be Chatty Cathy, the guy version. So listen, guys. Why am I so excited this morning? Because we have some pretty dope friends. I can honestly say that we don't associate with fools. We don't associate with people who ain't winning. Call us bougie, call us privileged, whatever you want to call it. I like to put people in my circle that can help hold me accountable, can grow me. If I'm the smartest guy in the room, I'm leaving. Trust me when I tell you. And so these are people that we look to, not only as examples when it comes to coaching, but parenting. They are doing it on another level. They have also had, and we're going to share their experiences, some pretty unique experiences, and they're blending families. And so today we're going to talk about boundaries and how to do that within the confines of blending a family. We've done it. There's a ton of other people who have done it, and the St.Germains are not any stranger to that. So Todd and Angela St.Germain, we met a couple of years ago through our church, and they are incredible people. They've been blending families for a number of years. They have 3 daughters who are sweet. It's funny because they're 10 years apart, guys. So they're like 11, 21, and 31 or something crazy like that. So we're trying to figure out, why are these people even still alive? Like, they should have been, you know what I mean? Like, you know, who does that, right? So without further ado, or to do, what is it? Ado or to? I just keep going. It don't even matter. At this particular point, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for a warm welcome. Breakfast with the Brookses to Todd and Angela St.Germain. Hey, what's up, guys? How y'all?
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Look good.
Hey, man, I'm trying to figure out how I can get a little younger looking like you. You know, the gray kind of tells our age a little bit, Todd, but, you know, we can figure it out. What's going on, man?
Oh, man, we're just loving it. Love your matching cups and your matching shirts. We missed the memo. We would have followed suit.
We're going to have to send all of our guests cups or mugs and shirts so that we can.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Man, put me on that list. Put me on that list.
Right. That means we're going to have to schedule stuff a year out, right, Todd?
Yeah.
I'll be really angry if something comes up. It's like, we can't make it. No, you have our mugs. Fall this week, right?
Hey, listen, I would drink a coffee from a mug with your face on it. I would. If you're looking for a new idea, your guys' face together on a mug.
So funny story, Todd. One time we were sitting in our group coaching environment, and I was telling a story about how there are times where, you know, Cherie and I, we don't argue, but we disagree often. And I think that there's a fundamental difference between the two. But oftentimes, so that I can stay out of the place of arguing with her, I have to often maybe go to the porch and sip on my cup. And so I'll just grab my cup and I'll just sit on the porch and just kind of get myself together. So that's kind of where I think we thought about putting that on the mug. So I don't know, but man, it is so good to have you. Angela, what's up?
It's good to be here, you guys.
Good.
You're looking good.
I want to kind of start this off with just their journey in terms of how they've come to the place that they are. And let me just say this on the front end, guys. Todd and Angela are not perfect, and we're not propping anyone up, ourselves included, to be perfect. But I do believe that they are winning on another level. And one of the reasons why is because they have skills. They are coaches, and they use their skills in their own family, and it's caused them to be able to win. So Todd, Angela, talk to us a little bit about just y'all's journey, how you met, the children, how many, how they, sure. Where are they, what lane did they come to you from, you know, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Let's kind of begin to build a case a little bit about how you guys are winning in the area of blending your family.
Yeah. Well, let me jump in and I'll let Angela kind of fill in some of the details. But I met Angela and Paloma, our oldest, when I was 27 years old. Mm-hmm. So I proposed to both of them. Wow. And we brought Paloma into part of the wedding. She sung a song. It was really beautiful. So I became an instant dad at 27. No clue what I was doing. Dropped the ball daily. Messed up often. But it was really a cool adventure of learning how to approach this child and ask her what I was doing right and doing wrong. And at first, I didn't do too well. At first I was having a hard time with it, but she was very gracious in helping me learn how to be a dad. And it was a cool thing that I know not everyone gets to experience that. But for me, because of some abandonment issues with her father, I couldn't actually adopt her. We tried several times and couldn't. So when she turned 18, she actually legally changed her name to my last name. And then when she got married, she kept that as a hyphen. So I really felt that was her saying, hey, I view you as my dad. You are my dad. We have 2 other daughters that are amazing. Chloe, who's 21, almost 22, and Paris, who's 11, and she'll be 12 this December. We still can't figure out how that's happening.
It wasn't planned.
I think we missed this last one. It would have been too much, maybe. I don't know. We have a grandson as well, who's just an amazing, amazing young man. Can't wait to see him later on this summer. He's going to come out and stay with us for a little while. But we really have watched God do some amazing things through our kids. We seem to be parents and grandkids for generations to come. For whatever reason, that was kind of our lot to see that. But each 3 girls are unique in that they're the oldest and the only child at the same time, even though they have siblings.
Wow.
You know, if you can imagine a 20-year age gap between Paloma and Paris, but they still get along fantastically when they see each other. Each of them helped raise each other, more like an aunt than a sister, but they still had that sisterly bond and love.
Yeah.
And you guys, we've watched such a growth in each of them and such a support from each of them that one of the hardest things for moving to Washington was that 2 of our daughters stayed back in Washington. And I think that's something that we wrestle with as well. We had such a culture. We all lived in our own home. We called ourselves not the Brady Bunch. There was many family gatherings around the table where we discuss and talk through at different levels of life. But we have a really unique family and we dig it for sure. Wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Love it.
All right, Ange,
you fill in the gaps, Ange.
What did he miss?
Okay, so I'm a little bit more mature than Todd.
No.
You can't see my grays.
Well, we have
an excellent
comment here, Angela.
Yeah. So I was doing my life, doing this life that kind of happened upon me. I wasn't planning on being a single mom. I found myself being a single mom, and I just did it because that's what you do, right? You just do what life hands you. And I had thought about, getting married or getting remarried or, connected with someone. And it just didn't sound right to me or good to me because every marriage that I had seen it didn't seem to work. And so I was literally going to try and do it on my own. And Todd came into our lives and everything changed. And it was a good change. It was a God change. And it took some time. Because I was doing things on my own. Yeah. And I was very proud of the fact that I could do it on my own. Right. And then I found I couldn't do it on my own. And it was just my daughter and myself. And then Todd came into our lives. And like he said, he literally proposed to the both of us. He was the first person that my daughter actually really accepted into her life. And it was a great match from there.
Awesome. One thing you touched on, Angela, that I want to talk about is that most people don't talk about this part of blending family. When it's a single mother who's been raising a child on your own, and then you get married, you get connected with somebody else. There's a whole dynamic that goes on with you from being a single mom to now transitioning to being a married woman and having a partner. How was that transition for you? I know it was difficult for me making that transition. What are some things that you learned during that particular phase of your blending that, what were the difficulties and some things you learned from that?
And for context, Ange, if you could put that sort of in the context, and we're talking about, guys, for those of y'all who just jumped in with Todd and Angela St.Germain, they're friends of ours, they're pastors, they're coaches, they're extraordinary, amazing people, and they are winning in the area of blending their family. But today we're going to talk about that in the context of how to establish healthy boundaries. And for those of you all who may not have been following our boundary series, a boundary simply is a property line. It's something that sort of demarks where your property ends and someone else's begin. Now, that's a physical property line that looks like a fence. But in relationships, that line is invisible. You can't see it. And oftentimes what trips up many people, what many parents, particularly in blended families, is how do you establish those lines so that people can stay in their lane, but stay on the same highway. You know what I'm saying? And not find themselves like over in the other lane in oncoming traffic. So, Angela, to go back to Cherie's question, as a single mom, when you transition, you guys had boundaries as a single mom, whether they were really hard line or soft, but then coming into a blended family situation, those lines can get blurred or have to change. Talk to us a little bit about how you made that adjustment.
Yeah, and that was really difficult because on one hand, I was happy to open that door because I was tired of doing it on my own. On the other hand, I had many boundaries established, like, this is my life. Mm-hmm. This is how we do things. I've been doing this long enough. Yeah. I'm a little bit older than you, so I've been kind of, doing the mom thing for a while here. And it was really hard for me to not, I'm an observer, right? So I'm observing him being the dad.
Right.
And I'm
brother.
And I'm, sitting on my hand, trying not to jump in there and say, well, no, she doesn't respond to that, when really he had the fresher perspective.
So let's give some context to this as well.
Yeah.
Angela's a New York City Italian girl, right?
Yeah.
There's not much more in her than Italian right now.
All the way real time. We get right going now.
And I was born and raised in Seattle, Washington. I just came out of years of being a hippie. I was all just chill down, relax, settle down, calm down. So if there was two more opposite people that met, it would be
true.
Wouldn't be us. And
absolutely
people have been telling her for years that if God wanted her to get married, that he would bring someone from the other side of the country to do that. Well, that was me. Wow. I ended up hitchhiking into town with a backpack on my back. We met at a prayer meeting. I mean, it was.
Oh gosh.
You can't make this stuff up, So. So trying to
our first interaction was
right.
It was like
the world.
I don't know where you came from, but
our aunts were trying to get us together, play the matchmaker for quite a while, and we both were just resistant to it. Wow. And when we weren't paying attention, we ended up bumping into each other, and that's how we ended up falling in love. So want to just add that context, that another part of our boundary was learning just culturally how different we were.
Yes.
We're both so different than when we first met. But when we first got together, it was East Coast, West Coast. It was such a difference, just even with that.
Right. Yeah.
So true. And Todd had just, like he said, he just kind of blew into town, and like he was very thin, very, like
what I think maybe I'm not thin anymore. I'm not sure.
No. I mean, I'm saying to God, he won't even be able to hold me up. Are you kidding me?
I love it.
Just not the norm of the type of guy that I grew up with.
Right.
So, I grew up with a lot of New Yorkers, that Italian type, that kind of stocky kind of guy. And you grow up thinking that you're going to do, what your family does, or at least in my family, that's how it was. It was like, well, you're just going to do what we do.
Yeah.
And
when we talk about modeling, and I hear you guys, obviously y'all were not the prototypical couple in terms of meeting. Cherie and I share the same story. It's crazy. We ain't got time to get into our story, but very similar to y'all's, just polar opposites. I think that one of the things that frustrates particularly new couples more than anything in our coaching business, I know you guys are saying the same thing, is how do you navigate the gap? There is an obvious gap in every relationship. And I think, unfortunately, it's like that elephant in the room, guys. It's there, but nobody really kind of addresses it and talks about it. And because you are in love, you kind of just ignore it. And then here's what we know. That kind of love fades, right? And now you're faced with this ugly elephant in the room, and you're having to navigate. How did you guys begin to even have conversations around this idea? Look, brother, I know more than you. I'm older than you. Parenting longer than you because you ain't one yet. Right. So at this point, it's almost kind of like, you're having to really pull back. How do you navigate that? Is there communication? Is there conversation? How does that look?
Yeah, I'll jump in first if you want.
Yeah, I was going to say we just had that conversation last week. No, I'm just kidding. It's an ongoing conversation, right?
It's an ongoing, ever changing, and for us, it started with us being so different, realizing. Let me give you a quick story, and we were in Europe backpacking, and I tend to be a destination thinker, and Angela is much more a journey thinker. And so when we first went on this trip, I was on a mission, right? And Angela was also on a mission. Angela was on a mission of taking a picture of every single door in Europe that we ran into. So I think she has something like 4,322 doors that she took pictures of.
383.
There you go.
Get it right.
And there's actually pictures of me down the road on these pictures where it'll be the door and there's Todd down the road with his backpack on, because it got to the point where I didn't want to have anything to do with the journey anymore. It took me probably 4 days in Europe to realize how silly that was and to come back. So there was actually pictures of me coming back to her.
Yeah.
That's kind of the story of, I think, sums up who her and I are. That there's such a difference and there's such a strength in one or the other. And the other person just naturally comes back to that. So it's becoming aware that we're so different and realizing that Angela has such strength in areas that I'm trying to grow in, giving her the benefit of the doubt of helping me grow in that. I was raised in a single family home with two sisters. So my brother was also there, but he was a little older. So he was kind of working and doing the different things that he was doing. But I was raised in a home with very strong females. And so I've always had great respect for that. In fact, one of my weaknesses right now is tipping too much when I know it's a single mom in a restaurant, because I knew that's what fed us. I knew that's what gave me my shoes growing up, is when my mom was out there waitressing. Yeah. So in that, I say that I see so much strength in Angela, maybe in some areas that she doesn't even realize it. So for me, my role and my job, one of them in her life, is to help her understand her strengths, help her understand the areas that she just excels at, and to realize that not all of those are my strengths, and be totally okay with it. And that's one of our unique parenting styles is she's very New York and I'm very Washington State. And those two things together have really helped us. They've caused some issues for sure, but when we choose to walk through them, we just get better. Both of us get better. Our children see us getting better. And definitely our children have seen us go through our low times, but they've also seen us go through our high times. Yeah. And that's what I love about this marriage that we have, is it's so glass house. And those people that are around us see how real we are. We don't know how to be any other way, because we met each other in a very real way, and we've been living with each other for a very real way since then. And in that, I'm a way better man because of Angela, and I think I can speak for her that she's a way better woman because of me. And that's something that we decided to do from the get-go, is to realize how prickly and hard to approach we were in many areas of our relationship. And we've taught each other how to be a husband. We've taught each other how to be a wife. I didn't know how to be a dad. I didn't know how to be a husband because I didn't have those role models. Yeah. It's just by doing that we've gotten there. So,
yeah. Right. Yeah. And I think you have a lot of objections. Mm-hmm. And when we met, although I had those same objections, it was giving a chance to him to say, okay, I'm going to let go of some of these things that I'm objecting to just because I've always been this way. I've always done things this way. And when I did that, it literally was like the silence happened, and I could then allow him to come in and give input, where I was like, I'm the mom bomb, like, and so then I started observing in a positive way. I was observing like, wow, this is my husband, the one that I love, the one that we're going to grow old together. And I'm watching him transform our family just because I'm allowing him, not allowing him, but allowing him to breach that gap that we have there. And whereas before I was like, my boundaries were like, no, this is my world. I have to be strong. Don't you understand? I have to put up that fence and to protect. And so it was allowing him to really come in and be that protector as well.
Right. One thing that you both touched on is that, your ability to be able to be self-aware and embrace this, able to look at who you were, look at each other's strengths, what your strengths were, and to embrace that. And oftentimes that's one of the biggest challenges when families come together to blend, is that because you're opposites, people often fight against that instead of embracing it and being able to say, okay, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses. And the whole idea of marriage is that you balance each other.
Yes.
You want to be with somebody that's exactly the same as you, because y'all both going to be just off the rails in one area and everything else is going to fall apart.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
They always say opposites attract, and that's true. And in most successful relationships, you see that because those two people are able to balance each other.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. For those of you all who may be just joining us by way of replay, we're talking to our great friends, Todd and Angela St.Germain. They are coaches. They do an extraordinarily wonderful job at doing it. They're very different coaches than we are. And I love it because, quite frankly, I don't believe that, everybody is for everybody. And I'm grateful for the diversity that God has just allowed us to be a part of. If you guys care to, I'd love to have you follow them at St.Germain Coach, at St.Germain Coach on Twitter, or on Facebook at St.Germain Coaching, at St.Germain on Facebook and IG at St.Germain Coaching. Todd, one of the things that I wanted to kind of jump into before we get out of here today is this idea that understanding your roles and responsibilities and being able to use that self-awareness to your advantage. And so one of the things I'm hearing you talk about is just understanding the importance of, first of all, this is who I am and this is what I do. I hear people often say, and I can't change that, right? I can't, it's just who I am. I can't change that. Talk to me a little bit about the fallacy of that thought, right? And then how it looks when you decide to lean into that gap of changing something that you really quite honestly thought was fixed.
Yeah. I think changing is easy. It's deciding to change that's the hard part. So that in that decision moment, I think that's where most people fail. That one moment or the 100 moments that it takes for you to decide to change is what changes or what flips the whole idea of you being able to be successfully changed or not. We look at New Year's resolutions. We look at all the goals that maybe we set with clients. Right. It's the decision that makes those successful or not. It's not necessarily even the system that we offer a client or offer someone that we're working with. It's really getting people to make that decision. So I don't believe that a tiger can't change their spots. I think you can. I think no matter what you're going through or what you're feeling, there's certainly some things that we don't have to bring up as far as, mental issues or mental imbalances that need medication or professional help. But the common human being can change so many things in their life, whether it be an anger issue, whether it be infidelity, whether it be an area of their life that they struggle in, to be in a community and to have someone help them get past that. Very few people get past that. Very few people struggle past that once they get into that right community. I share a brief story of when I first got into coaching. It was a frustration moment for me because here I was as a pastor. I was giving great advice. I thought it was the advice that people needed. And I did a data analysis on all the people that I was counseling, all the people that I were walking through for years. And there was a single percentile of people that are actually taking my advice and change coming into their marriage or their life personally. So I had to flip my methodology. I had to flip all my education. I had to flip all my experience and do something different because it wasn't working. I could have either chosen to change my career. I could have chosen to go down another path, but I chose to get better. I chose to change. I chose to really get strong in the areas where I knew I needed to because I was weak.
Yep.
And some of those areas were to stop giving advice when it wasn't asked, to stop just assuming I knew what was wrong with someone and give them a solution, to really dig into where that area of change had to be. And I watched it flip around. I watched people begin to change. I watched people begin to get a hold of what they needed to do to change and then make decisions. So in that moment of making decisions, I think it sets people apart from either growing or not growing. And so I focus a lot on that decision moment. I focus a lot on the why. Why do they want to change? What is that moment of change going to look like? And then the change part becomes easy. So,
right.
You know, Cherie, I first of all, what you said is just so loaded. I can't just really respond. I'm kind of stuck, to be honest, because Todd, you said something that people, and Cherie, we see this all the time. And they say, you know, I have this, I think about you when we came together, and you were extremely meticulous, extremely detail oriented. I mean, borderline OCD, like real. And it frustrated everyone in the house.
Right.
For the first time, your daughter, now our daughter, had a voice, because I would speak up and say, wait a minute, this is a problem. Like, all the cans of soup have to be alphabetized. Yes. Like, are you serious? Supermarket don't even do that. Like, are you crazy right now? But the difference, I think, was when you decided to trust me and to lean into the fact that there may be a possibility that there's another way. Can you talk to a little bit about how community informs that or helps that piece?
Well, I think the biggest thing where community in your life helps you when you're isolated, when it's just you and your family, it's just you and your husband, you and your kids, even as a single mother, when it's just you and your child, and you're not getting any input from anybody outside, you're only operating from one perspective. And oftentimes our perspective is flawed because our perspective is based on survival. Especially as a single mother, you're just doing what you got to do to survive.
Yeah,
that's right. Any other options? You're just doing what needs to be done. And even in a marriage, if you guys are isolated and you're not receiving wisdom from anybody outside of your marriage, you're operating on just your perspectives, and you guys are just going through day to day. Community gives you the opportunity to see things from a different perspective, to see that there are other ways to do things, and that in itself presents you with the opportunity to make a choice that maybe I want to change. Maybe for you to even be able to make those decisions, to decide that change is possible. You don't even see that change is an option. You can't make the decision to change. And one thing that, you know, through our coaching that we've learned is that, you know, most people come to you because they want help.
Or they actually want relief.
They want relief. They don't want help. They want you to fix it. They want you to give them a silver bullet to fix it, but they don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
Make the change possible. And so I think the other part is, yes, they have to make the decision that they want to change. It does start with the decision, but even that, you have to maintain that decision. Right.
And Todd, what I'd like you guys to kind of close out with, and either one of you can jump in, and I put up the email address for you guys, hello@toddstgermain.com. If you guys want to reach out to the St. Germains and you feel like you want to, you know, partake in their services and find out a little bit more about how they do what they do. Todd, you guys have a very unique approach when it comes to really helping to sort of foster this idea of drawing people in to look at what really is the obvious. It's just not obvious to them. And you do that hugely in communication, in listening, and helping people build skill sets. And I am a firm believer, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to say it, I can't say it enough. I don't believe that any growth can be sustained outside of community. And I also don't believe that there's nothing that you can't fix if you can communicate.
Right.
And the truth is that the decision part, like you just said, Todd, is I don't want to do that. And the reason is because you don't have the skill to pull it off. Mm-hmm. So talk to us a little bit about some of those kinds of skill sets that you help people build within y'all's coaching services and things like that.
You want to grab that one?
Go ahead.
Well, for us, it's we don't offer anything cookie cutter, and I know you know that about us. We're really big into the individual. So part of our gift set is to really help people see their blind spots. I don't know why we have a certain grace on us to do that, but one of the things that we focus on is people let us in there. People let us share with them where their blind spots are, and we all got blind spots. I got so many blind spots. I'm glad there's people around me that can point those out. I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have those type of people that could get honest with me and get real with me. And one of the things that you say all the time is that change can't be sustained without community. And I'm a firm believer of that as well. If you don't have people around you that can help you look at your blind spots, that can help you grow, you better find them. Because I don't want a bunch of people in my life telling me that I'm doing it all right. And at the very end of my life, I turn around and there's no one around me. There's no one that I helped. There's no one that I was able to love. There was no one that I was able to serve because my blind spots were so great that I couldn't get past them, that I thought I was doing everything right. And when I turned around, no one was there. That's one of my biggest fears. And so for me right now in my life, I try to transparently walk that out. I try to say, hey, I know there's areas of my life that I need to grow. Will you help me? So there's people that are younger than me. There's people that are my same age, and there's people that are older with me that walk with me constantly. So that model I live out, but that's the model that I try to build around with whoever that I'm working with. You have to get people around you that are different than you. You have to get people around you that love you enough to tell you the truth. And if you're willing to do that, there's nothing that you can't get past. There's nothing that you can't grow through. It's that decision to invite people in. It's that decision to let people in community walk with you that will bring you to that change moment.
Guys, I'm mad that we run out of time. For those of you all who are just joining, please catch the replay of our great friends. I'm grateful that that they're our friends and that we are all on the same team. And I want to be a catalyst for change. I want to be that guy that you come to and say, hey, how can I fix this? And even if I don't have the answer, or maybe I don't have the product, or quite frankly, I'm not a fit for you. I've got people who I rock with. Cherie and I got people who we're in relationship with, who we can shoot you over to and say, maybe you ought to try it the way they're doing it, because I don't believe that there's necessarily a right or wrong. I do think that it's a fit thing. Right. And so I'm excited for the opportunity to be able to get up with you guys. I definitely want to do this again and have you guys come back.
Love to.
So much more that we didn't get a chance to talk about today,
right?
That I really want to explore and sort of tease out. And I'm gonna put y'all on the spot, but I'd like to also have you guys come and speak inside of our coaching environment on some specific talks and some different things over
the awesome.
Couple of weeks. So for those of you all who are a part of the MAPS community, one of the things that we're doing is that we're bringing other voices in, because we don't know it all. I know a part.
Right.
And what I know, promise you, I'm obligated to share it, and I can stand flat-footed and speak to it. But there are other places that I'm just not. Right. That's not my area, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity.
Right.
It would be an honor.
Yes, it would. And I love it. Goes along with what you guys always say. Everybody needs a little help.
Yeah.
And I think that's powerful.
Yeah. So we got a bunch of people chiming in. I did not acknowledge you guys. Karen is going wild.
Hey, Karen.
So I just want to say thanks to Karen and Lacey. Shout out to the MAPS community. You guys have just really showed up. I appreciate you for jumping in the room. We've got Shannon that's jumped in the room. We've got all these different folks, guys. We don't have time to put up your comments. Sidna, thank you so much. I'll comment to you guys on Facebook. But here's what I'd like y'all to do. Do me a huge favor. Everybody on the call, go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've had this channel for a number of years. We've never showed it any love. And so now we're trying to make sure that we get it. What are you doing with the like, cut it out. Like, so subscribe. go to the link, as my wife would say. It looks like like a little rabbit. It's like, I see a whole cartoon series. Right. Go to the YouTube link, subscribe. It's where you'll catch this replay if you're coming in on the end of this interview.
And you can catch all of our previous, well, not all of them.
Not
Quite
all
a few
of
of our previous episodes are also loaded on that.
Yeah, we try to pick the best ones, the ones that got a lot of engagement, but we're going to try to really upload that. I'm also doing some things on Mondays called Man Talk Monday, because I think that there's sorely a missing piece in that space, and I want to speak to some men. So that's on Mondays, and it's kind of unofficial and just playing with it, but we're going to put those videos on it as well. So just let's stay in touch. Todd, Angela, we'll see you guys tomorrow in church.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for joining us.
I'm super stoked, guys. Thanks so much for being a part. And at the end of the day, we always like to lead the show by saying, hashtag, we all need some help.
You guys have a great Saturday.
Y'all be good.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.